Well, good evening and welcome once again to Straight Talk. Wendell Moore here, and I'll introduce my guest to you right after we take a short break. Be right back.
When life brings out the best in you, it's Vanity First. For cosmetics, perfumes, and more. Look and feel your best when you're on the go. Vanity First, West Indies Mall, Marigo, and St. Rose Arcade, Phillipsburg. Vanity First, more choices, best prices.
And welcome back to Straight Talk for this evening. With me to discuss the GB3 project is the coordinator. He is Mr. Jeffrey Richardson. He's here with me for the full hour, and we'll be discussing everything in relation to the GB3 project. And I think that name sounds good, Mr. Richardson, but it's kind of a tongue twister for some people. GB3 project.
Exactly.
It is?
Well, for some people it is because of the GEBE company.
Oh.
I would like to also say thank you for inviting me, Wendell. It's really a pleasure to be here to discuss this very important and needed project for St. Martin, especially for the youngsters of St. Martin. I think it was a needed thing that the Minister of Education, Sports and Culture and Youth Affairs initiated, and I would like to commend her for that because it was a long-awaited project that these youngsters were, busy waiting on. And today, I would like to say that I'm happy that we have begun the process of this project, and this project has a lot to desire because of the fact that it's a project that is more long-term than anything else. So I would like to, give you all the information about the project so that the public would know what this project entails.
Let's start by the GB3 thing, because I don't think everyone has a good understanding. GB3.
Well, the reason why it was called GB3 because the project is actually called the Get Off the Block and Get on the Bus and Get Busy. Those GB, Get the Block, Get off the Bus, and Get Busy. They all start with a G and with a B.
Okay.
So that's why we say 3 times we're hearing the Get Off the Block. The GB comes forward, and we decided to call the project the GB3 project for an abbreviation so that it's not a long and lengthy topic or
but
long and lengthy
it's now
name.
Clear to me, and I believe it's now clear to viewers
A lot of
and listeners.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. GB3.
Yeah.
Okay, so what stage that project is in now? I know that this started when we rolled out Country St. Martin 10-10-10, and we did have a minister who is responsible for culture, youth affairs, sports, and this falls on education, and this falls under her portfolio.
Exactly.
And she came up with this idea.
Yeah.
You came on board a little later, though.
Yeah, well, I came on board right just before the first activity that we had, because she decided to call me in, knowing my my commitment and my experience with young people. You know that I do that a whole lot here on St. Martin. So she called me in to coordinate the project for the ministry, which I willingly did because I saw that it was a strong need for youngsters to be addressed, problems that they have to be addressed, and that we make sure that they get the necessary attention that they would need. When we look at St. Martin today, we realize that crime is escalating, and when you look at the persons that are committing those crimes, it's basically the young people on St. Martin, persons between the ages of sometimes 15, 16 years up to 25, 26 years. And that's all.
They feel young.
Yeah, they're fairly young, and that's our target group, because in the past we didn't have that type of age group that were committing the crimes on St. Martin. Now we realize that it has gone down to that age, and it is very necessary for government to address this matter, because these issues are very much, what I say, it's important for the Saman community to feel safe in their own society. Living here should be something that should be a safe matter, as opposed to when you come here, you're hearing about all these crimes that are being committed, and it will kind of push you for not to come to St. Martin, and we have to avoid that because we have a product that is called tourism that we must protect with all of our hearts.
I hear you. Okay, describe for me some of those people who, what is the nature of their behavior and mindset that are involved in this project? Who are they?
But first of all, what we did in the beginning stages of the project, Wendell, is we went to the different blocks. We went on the blocks. We had 2 or 3 persons that did that, including Mr. Elton Jones and a gentleman by the name of Sean Hodge that knows those particular persons on the block. And we approached them to register them with the program. We discussed with them the objective of the program, which is to make sure that we transform the minds of those persons on the block. Because one of the things we want to do with these youngsters is to make sure that the block mentality does not remain in them. We're getting them off the block, but we're also transforming the way they think, their mentality. They're shifting their mentality so that they become independent persons. So we're not going to be giving them fish to eat, but we're actually teaching them how to fish. So we're making sure that they have a rod that they can fish themselves. The cries of those young people are basically, we need jobs. We want to work. And that is one of the things that we are very much looking at. How do we obtain jobs for these youngsters? And we realized that one of the things, after speaking to a lot of these youngsters, we realized that they are not, much of them, not all of them, but most of them are not employable, meaning they have to make sure that they know how to conduct themselves within the job market. That is something we are busy now working on. The next phase that we are into now is the aftercare program of the project, where we're setting up different programs for these youngsters to follow, so that at the end of these programs, they will become employable. We're also collaborating with the Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs, because they have programs as well that they will be bringing out in the near future to make sure that these persons, these youngsters, are employable. But our target group basically are people that are unproductive in society, and making sure that at the end of the day, the result of it is that they get jobs. They get jobs through these programs, and they commit to the programs, and eventually they get a job.
Are they difficult to work with?
Not all of them. What I realized, when they're with their friends, it becomes a little more difficult to work with them. But when when you get them to come in individually, it's much more easier, because then you get down to the nitty-gritty. I would say you get down to the hearts of those young people. They are basically they're looking at a sense of belonging. They're looking at love, attention, and that's one of the most important things that these young people want. Because when you look at the social aspect of these particular boys and girls, because we have also females, girls that are in the project as well.
That answers one of my questions. I really
we have a lot of females in the project as well. That sits on the block, and even those that are not on the block, they are very unproductive, because we want to make sure that at the end of the day that they make sure that they follow their dreams, and we are going to do whatever it takes to make sure that these persons follow their dreams, and they get the tools to work with. We give them the platform, and government support them in such a way that they can be able to achieve their goals.
What are some of the feedbacks from people in general in the community hearing about the project, and hopefully with enough information to understand what is supposed to come out of it? What are some of the feedbacks you get, if any?
Well, one of the things is the minister was able to explain the whole project in the parliament. The parliament called her in to question her about what the project is all about, and that was very good, I believe. It was on television, it was broadcasted. But the feedback from the people, basically most people believe that it's nothing's gonna come out of it. I tend
family members of these guys feel the same way too?
No, not the family members, but I think onlookers, the public in general, believes, hey, it's another program like any other program, and it's gonna we're gonna just sit back and be skeptical and see how long this program is gonna keep up, because most programs, you realize in St. Martin, if you don't have the necessary budget set for it and the necessary funds, that it can't continue. It just would stop. And we want to make sure that this doesn't happen. That's why we decided to make sure that this project is a community project. It has nothing to do with any political party. It has to do just with a public-private initiative that was initiated from the Minister Rhoda Arrindell. And we're going to make sure that, do whatever it takes to make sure that this project is successful. And the way you would measure the success of this program is to make sure at the end of the day that these boys are employable and they follow the program so that they are able to stay within a job, because there are some of them that have worked maybe 4, 5, 6 different places, and that is something we want to avoid. We want to make sure, let them know, hey, you have your role to play as well, because we're going to make sure, support you in that fashion to make sure that you get a job, but at the end of the day, you have a responsibility as well towards the company that you work with or towards the company that you are going to be in charge of, because we have a program as well that is going to be catered towards persons that want to become their own bosses. And we call it the Youth Entrepreneurship Program. And we have about over 20 different programs that will come on stream as the time goes by.
Okay, how many people are at present a part of this program?
Well,
we have the numbers.
Well, we have registered over 80 persons, and it's growing
80,
yeah. And it's growing as the time go by, because 1 or 2 of the persons have already gone into jobs, but we are busy now with the aftercare of the program, which is the most important component of the program, where we make sure that they follow these programs that I just spoke about.
That's a big number, Jeffrey.
It's a big number, but it's something that I believe we can handle. In the near future, we're going to think in terms of making sure that this project becomes a project on its own, because looking at the magnitude of the project, we just have about 2 or 3 months where the project started, and we have already seen the feedback from those youngsters. And the good thing about it, because a lot of these youngsters, they lost a lot of confidence, especially in government and politicians, etc. But you see them still wanting to
do this
see that this program becomes successful. So they come in and they register, and we went to the blocks and registered them, and they come out, because we had 3 different activities already. Since we started, we had a team from the States and one basketball team that came in, and there were also persons that were on the block, but what they do, they travel around the world, and the most important thing, the main objective of that particular group is to motivate youngsters to say, hey, you can do better. You can follow your dreams and you can become somebody. Because becoming somebody, we have to make sure, make them feel comfortable in their own country, St. Martin, and make sure that they don't feel like they're being marginalized and pushed to the back of the bus.
That sounds like a good recipe for crime, if they're feeling that way.
Yeah, if they feel that way, you know the crime is going to escalate, and we are very much aware of that, and that's why this program is extremely important. And I expect that government officials, especially the ministers and the parliamentarians, would support every aspect of this program, because supporting this program would mean that the crime situation in St. Martin would lessen. And it's all ties into having a safe community, a safer community for residents and for tourists as well.
We're going to get there as far as the supporting factor is concerned, because I'm one of those who, I won't say extremely skeptical, but there are those people who are skeptics when it comes to whether or not this is going to be successful. And I think you have the awesome responsibility to assure the general public that within the strengths and the ability that you have, you probably won't let it get there. But before we go any further into that support part, what stage the project is in now? You talk about get off the block. You've been able to get anybody off the block just yet? And are they on the bus?
Yeah.
Or are they getting busy? What stage?
Yeah. We have some success stories where we had persons that got a job. We are still waiting on different persons to call us, different companies to call, because we are doing a partnership with the business sector, Chamber of Commerce. We're partnering even with the Dutch representative. We're partnering with different organizations. I even have a meeting with the Rotary Club that's also want to partner with us. But the stage we're at is making sure that these persons not only get a job, but to make sure that they maintain their jobs, because that's for us is very important. You just realized Parliament is now busy handling the abuse of the 6 months contract. Mm-hmm. And one of the things we want to avoid with this project is that our young St. Martiners do not fall into that fray where they're going to have to work for 6 months, and then after 6 months their contract expires, and then what? Then they go back to the blocks? No, we don't want it to happen. We want to make sure that these youngsters is off the block and they receive or they obtain permanent jobs. But to obtain a permanent job, we have to make sure that they become employable. So that's why these programs are put on stream, to make sure that they are ready for the job market. And I continue to speak about the aftercare program because that is the main area of the program.
Where do you meet when it comes to these folks?
Well, sometimes we meet at the cultural center, we meet at different government.
And how do you reach them to inform them that they have to appear?
Well, we have their phone numbers, we have their email addresses. Some of them even have Blackberries that we communicate with them all the time. Okay. And we would like to say, I even want to commend UTS, because UTS gave us 2 Blackberries to be able to make sure that we stay in touch with these persons. I had a situation just 2 days ago where one of them, because I say again, they even have social problems. I have to go to the schools sometimes to speak to teachers, etc. And one of the components we put into the program as well is a mentorship program, where every one of those persons that are participating, that are registered, they have a mentor that has to mentor them and follow their progress during the time that they're in the program. So we meet sometimes at different government offices. We meet sometimes individually with them, which we are doing right now as we speak. We're busy trying to find out what they're involved with. We're trying to make sure that it's an individual case that we handle. So whatever they say to us, it's very confidential, because some of them sometimes they go into areas that is not conducive to what we want to hear. But at the end of the day, these situations are real matters that we have to handle. There was one of them, like I will say, that said that she was going to commit suicide, and we had to jump in one time to make sure stop that situation.
Where the pressure came from?
The pressure came from home, because it's social problems that they have. Because sometimes of social problems, it kind of filters into their jobs, whether it's a job or in the school and stuff, and you see where their behavior changes, and the behavior is not up to par, and that is something we want to work with, because we have even a meeting coming up with the VOTAIRAT, Court of Guardianship, who is going to be also partnering with this particular program, and different entities that has the expertise, because we do not have all the expertise in-house. So certain things we're going to have to go out to those persons and have them give their expertise to the program.
Okay.
Or actually offer their expertise to the program.
To the program. Okay. Mr. Jeffrey Richardson, he's the coordinator for the GBG project, and of course, he's not here talking politics. He's talking about his involvement with a group of people that really need some guidance and help in the community, who we refer to these guys as hanging around the block. We'll continue our conversation with Mr. Richardson right after we take a short break. I'll be right back.
We play. We bond. We live around water. So what happens when a septic tank fails? Proper septic tank maintenance is easy and good for the environment and helps prevent costly repairs. Have your tank inspected annually and pumped as needed, and avoid flushing things like plastics, diapers, or household chemicals. Find out more. Clean water. It's all up to us.
For us, the young people who finish school, to them to get a job and so on, help us get jobs and so on.
And we're back with Mr. Jeffrey Richardson on Straight Talk. He's here for the full hour, and we are discussing his role in the GB3 project. I still think that GB3 is like a little tongue twister, but sure sounds like it's a good program.
Yeah,
I just need to know from you, though, the role that the business community plays in all this, because that's one of the skeptical points that people worry about.
Yeah.
I had a gentleman on this program some time ago, and he applauded the program, but he's worried that the business community needs to step up and open up themselves and make a contribution, not in terms of putting cash out there, but giving these youngsters a chance. Any challenge there?
Yeah, I think I would want to challenge the businesses through this program to make sure that they set an example and to be a part of this whole project, to partner with this GB3 project, because we had a meeting with those persons. We didn't have a full gathering of businesses, but through the Chamber of Commerce, we want to make sure that we approach these businesses. I have approached them individually, some of the persons that I personally is involved with, that I know as friends of mine, that has businesses, and they are very much, they're impressed with the program, with the whole project. But just being impressed does not cut it. What is important is that they make sure that they support it, whether it be in a financial way or it will be in kind. And so I'm saying, if there's anything that this project would need, I would expect that this businesses, because it's going to profit the businesses as well. Mm-hmm. It's going to benefit them.
Let me ask you if there is anyone that ever came across with the idea that we not only support this program, but I think we have an opening that we can get one of your guys to fill.
Of course. We had a situation at Oyster Bay Resort where one of the persons are employed at Oyster Bay Resort as we speak. And we're busy with other companies like Thrifty, Car Rental. We're busy with Atrium Resort and other companies that have promised to employ these persons. But of course, they must go through a particular process. So we're waiting on that process, and we're going to make sure that the employers are aware that these participants are following are committed to following a program, because they want to make sure that they have employees that are ready to work, that are prepared to work, because I think the preparation of these participants are extremely important. And we also have a component where we have mentors that we have assigned to every one of the participants, who we call them mentees, and they will be following up with those persons, or they will be following up with the progress of these particular participants, and that is important. And I want to appeal to older persons, adults as well, to give me a call anytime, because we are in need of more mentors as well. Persons that want to mentor them. It's a voluntary work right now. It's actually just to make sure that you follow up. Sometimes you'll be called into meetings and so on, but you can follow up with the persons that are in charge, because we ourselves can't do everything. Government can't do everything. Businesses can't do everything, but it involves a community effort to make sure that we do what is assigned to us to do, because as the saying says, it takes a whole village to raise a child, and all of us, all of our involvement are very much necessary.
Mm-hmm. I know that we had a mentality among us here on St. Martin where we become very selective as to what we want to do and what we don't want to do. Yeah. I understand this type of project is helping them to get started, but are they selective to determine what they want and don't want to do?
Because even on the registration form, we have 3 different options for every participant. We ask them, tell me what career opportunity you want to follow, and you give it to me in sequence. The first one, the first option, the second, and the third. And we realize there's certain vocations that they don't want to follow at all. Like I would sit with them, like say for example, they would say, I don't want to be a security guard, or I don't want to be a cleaner, or I don't want to, jobs that they figure is a low job, so to speak, which we don't figure it is. Because as Martin Luther King said, is if you become a street cleaner, be the best at it. Yeah. Because some of the times you have to speak to them, because you have to make them realize too, there are people that have cleaning companies, and they are the owners of those cleaning companies. But some of those persons have started cleaning themselves. Because you can start at the bottom of the company, but eventually after a couple of years, or 10, 50 years, you can become the owner of that particular company, or you can have your own company. As a matter of fact, we are busy now. Of course, we are busy now working on a youth entrepreneurship program where we're going to teach them how to have their own companies. But we're going to go further than that. We're busy now speaking to the banks, in particular Windward Island Bank. We have spoken to the bank a couple of months ago where we want to make sure that they are involved with the project, where they would say, hey, we're going to give you a certain amount of monies just to start your company, and then after that we're going to make sure follow the progress of those particular participants and make sure guide them in making sure that they budget their monies well, that they make sure follow a certain requirement to make sure be successful, to be a successful businessman. For example, you notice the Indians and the Chinese, they are in their businesses more than ever. And sometimes we as St. Martiners, we believe that if we get our own companies that we work less, but that is far from the truth. Sometimes we even have to put in more time than we put in if we have a job.
How often do you report to the minister about what's going on, the progress, or any problems if there are any?
Yeah, if there are any problems, we report to her. I send her BBs at times, and she would, take them up and say, okay, you can do this or that and stuff like that. But we report very often to her, and we have meetings on a constant basis where we say, hey, where we're at right now, and she would ask that, and we would have to, give a report on it.
In my conversations with you, you seem to be indicating that there's no way that this project is going to fail.
No,
but I hate to have to let you go without asking you, what would it take if it has to fail? What needs to happen, or what would happen to make it fail?
I'm going to say it again. This project cannot fail. It should not fail, and it will not fail. Why I'm saying that is because the project depends on the same people that are critical about this project. And I'm going to challenge those persons that are critical, because I know there are certain persons that are very critical about the success of this project. But instead of you being critical about it, one of the things I want persons to do is to make sure get involved with the project. This project has nothing to do.
And how can they get involved?
They just would have to give me a call or give the minister a call, who would then refer them to me as a coordinator or the program manager, or you can come to the youth department, which is opposite the post office. My number is 522-1574. Any persons that want to get involved with it, whether it's a business, whether it's a mentor, whether it's persons that have programs set up, because we have about 24 programs that we are busy putting together or organizing, so that those persons can choose the needs that they would have in order for them to become employable or to have their own business. And it is important for people to know that you are the ones that have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, instead of me criticizing this program, make sure you get involved. I just read something this morning that is very significant. It says this. It says, you may feel insignificant in the grand scheme of life, but you are daily creating the world that tomorrow's children will live in. Each decision you make helps to shape the legacy that will be left to these children. Okay. So the legacy that you're going to leave behind for these children depends on all of us. It has nothing to do with the minister or the government or any one of us or any institution. It has to do with all of us as a collective body to make sure that we do our part and play our roles well. Okay. We're going to make sure that everything goes through the department, goes through the coordinator of the project. But at the end of the day, you have a say. If you find that you have whether you have an idea that this project is going to a project that you feel we can, or idea that you feel we can use, just bring it. We're open to any discussion, because if you bring in this particular idea or this plan that you have and we put it into practice, or we execute this project and it's successful, it is actually successful for the youngsters. One of the things that I even thought about, I didn't discuss it yet with the ministry, but I looked at the festival village. Nothing happens at the festival village on a daily basis. The only thing we have there is the carnival. My point is, I'm asking government to give that particular area to the youngsters of St. Martin. Give it to the youngsters where they will be able to display and manifest their talents right there. The booths, those persons that are becoming entrepreneurs, those youngsters, they can probably rent one of the booths and display their talents and whatever they may have, whether it's in music, it's in poetry, it's in dance. You have shows there. You could call it probably a experience of St. Martin, a St. Martin experience, where we can target the cruise tourists, the stay over tourism, where they can come there and they can maybe, let's say, pay a fee to get into the festival village and to be able to see what those youngsters have learned, because we're gonna make sure that we prepare them to manifest whatever they have, so that those persons would be able to make a living there on their own. But it's a project that we are busy thinking about, and we are busy fine-tuning that project. And we're asking the governments that are involved with that project, that's in charge of the SOK, or you call it the government, the Stichting on the Rescue, that they would consider handing it over to those persons to be able to do their business there.
Okay.
And that's more a long-term project.
Yeah. You have been talking about people who can make a contribution, but can you identify any one area there's an opening within this whole project that people